Now, another unsolved bombing death that haunts me took place in the 1990s in Canada. It was Christmas time, 1996. Wayne Greavette was moving up in the world. He had just launched a new bottled water company, and he had moved his family to a new home on a farm near Guelph in Ontario, Canada. On December 16th, Wayne returned home to find a gift-wrapped package in his rural mailbox delivered there by Canada Post. An early Christmas present. He took it inside his house where his wife, her brother, and his son were all home. Wayne sat down on the living room couch and unwrapped the package, revealing a Domaine d'Or Cabernet wine box with something contained inside of it. He opened the wine box and found a Duracell floating lantern flashlight, along with a typewritten note. While Wayne read the note, his son Justin tried to switch the flashlight on, but it wouldn't turn on. He tried opening the flashlight's casing, but it also wouldn't open. It seemed like it was glued shut. Julian sat down next to his dad and handed the flashlight to him, which he put aside to finish reading the note. The note was addressed to him, Wayne, and it read, "Dear Sir, my partners and I are opening a new business sometime early in the new year called Acton Home Products, and we'll be very interested in having you give us a price on rebuilding some equipment. You did some work for a company I was with a few years ago, and although you won't remember me, Lisa and your delivery man Joe most likely will. We don't plan on doing anything until after the new year, but would be most anxious to proceed at that time. We have no staff or office in place just yet, but you can reach us by mail at our new address below. Thanks for your time, and I'll look forward to hearing from you sometime early in the new year. Didn't realize you had moved. Had some trouble finding you. Have a very Merry Christmas, and may you never have to buy another flashlight." Wayne Greavette indeed would never have to buy another flashlight. He picked it up, managed to switch it on, and it immediately exploded, killing him instantly and damaging everything in the vicinity. It was a horrifying scene witnessed by his entire family. His son Justin ran from the room with minor injuries. Wayne's wife Diane also sustained minor injuries. There was smoke everywhere. Windows were broken. The floor, ceiling, and drywall were all busted. Debris was embedded everywhere, and Justin called 911. "There was a bomb, and my dad just blew up," he shouted into the phone. "There's nothing left of him," he said. Packed inside the flashlight was an emulsion-type explosive with roofing nails and pieces of shrapnel to ensure the detonation killed its target. But also, the sender of the bomber clearly didn't seem to care if anyone else in Wayne's house may have opened the package and switched on the flashlight instead. In fact, it was almost Wayne's son who had died, only he had been not able to switch the flashlight on. It's like the bomber considered all the ways the bombing could go. Wayne dies, Wayne sees a family member die, and they were all suitable to the bomber's objective. But what was the killer's objective? No one had any idea why or who. Police learned that a month before the explosion, 2 men had entered a post office in Acton asking for Wayne Graivette's new address. Composite sketches were made of these 2 men who have never been identified. Police believe that whoever committed this crime had planned it very carefully. The UPC code on the wine box, for example, had been removed with a razor, so that made the wine box impossible to trace to a specific store. A more important clue, investigators felt, was the relatively rare typeface seen in the letter that came with the bomb. It was an ornate, italic typeface from an electronic Smith Corona typewriter, and it featured an anomaly. Each period was followed by a small backslash. It was believed that this would be unique to the typewriter used by the killer, and that if anyone could find this typewriter, an electric Smith Corona, featuring this anomaly, they would also find the person responsible. Police and Wayne's family looked at anyone who might possibly have motive, and they began looking at his business relationships in the beverage and packing industry, in which he had worked for many years. And back in 1993, he'd been a junior partner at a business called Surge Beverage with a man named Ed Galick. And that relationship ended badly, with an ugly court battle over a payout package. And then with Wayne forming a new company with his wife as a partner called D&L Equipment Locators. And he poached a large number of customers from Surge, bringing them over to his new company. So this made Ed Galick the investigation's top suspect. His phones were tapped. Surveillance vans parked outside his house for months on end. He was given 4 polygraph tests and provided hair and DNA samples. But nothing was ever found to link him to Wayne's bombing. When he was interviewed by Wayne's family in 2009, Ed suggested they look through their books for the years following Wayne's departure from Surge and look at the people he had business dealings with. Ed alleged that Wayne had been ripping off his customers that he'd poached from Surge, and that maybe one of those customers decided to get even. Ed Galick also insisted he wouldn't know how to build a bomb. And when he was asked on camera who could have built such a bomb, Ed replied, "My son?" He said his son would have the knowledge enough to build such a bomb. This is just so weird to me. But then he walked it back and said he wasn't saying his son would do that, only that he could. His son was Ed Galick Jr., and when interviewed on camera, Ed Jr. admitted that he had talked to police and ended up refusing to give them hair samples. It was also learned during the investigation that Wayne had had affairs with multiple women, which was painful for Diane to learn. She had married Wayne when she was just 15. And he had kept this part of himself well hidden from her. But another angle that was being looked at was that Wayne's death may have been connected to his many extramarital affairs, which, like everything else in this investigation, ended up being a blind alley. And then there was a former associate of Wayne's who came forward and claimed he'd been told that Wayne's murder was a hired hit carried out by Hell's Angels. Interestingly, there was a friend of Wayne's named Paul Hennington, who himself was murdered on May 16, 2002. Paul worked in the same business as Wayne and used to regularly play poker with people who worked at Surge Beverages. This is Ed Galick's company. Paul was found murdered in his warehouse in Georgetown, and that murder was also never solved. But Wayne Graivette's murder, despite a number of promising leads and solid evidence, also continues to remain unsolved. And there's just something about the delivery device, a flashlight bomb, and the spiteful tone of that letter that makes this case hard to shake.